Hello, let me get this open. Hopefully this is working. I think I say that every time. I think I say that every time we go, oh, what's this interesting thing? Sorry, guys, hold on one second. I'm getting the pill chat up and hopefully that works. Hey, Andrew, Tessa, Suiterbug, Fearless. Hi, guys. Thank you. I have my microphone back. Yeah, it was the cord. Hi, Brooklyn, Amanda. Hey guys, well, it looks like we're working on YouTube at least and DLive. So for you, hey Yvonda, thank you. Yvonda and Fearless were just helping me out with something that was greatly appreciated just now. Keystone, hi. So yeah, it looks like we're good. Nice. Hey, Foil, Chef Matt. Well, guys, I definitely want to go over this book that I'm reading. Hopefully, I know I'm a very loud drinker. Like my swallowing, for whatever reason, is very loud. So I apologize with the microphone. It's probably just atrocious. Good vibes. Yeah, guys. Hey, Barry. So I want to go over the book, which is Return of the Dove. Even though our book club meeting is tomorrow, I just like to go over it with you guys here too, because some of you might not be in the book club and you might have your, interest piqued by going over it a little bit. Plus, there's just so much to talk about always with these, and with the book club, it tends to kind of go off in all directions, which I actually love about the book club, because this is the format of that where everybody can where it's a roundtable discussion. Anybody that wants to can also speak. It's not just me like talking at you guys and then having to read whatever you write. Hey, Melissa. So it's, but I like to do both. So I want to go over the book also because there's okay, I don't even remember at this point who recommended this book. If it was you, let me know, because I want to thank you. But I love that because I'll hear about a book and I won't even really remember what it's about, but I just remember that I'm excited to read it. And I like going into books kind of blind like that without really knowing. And that's what happened with this book. And so it was not at all what I was expecting. I knew that it was going to be kind of a biography about Nikola Tesla, and it is about him, but there's so much more, and it comes from kind of more of a spiritual perspective. I also tonight kind of I was just talking with some friends about this. You guys know that I've talked about before I woke up, I was a big loser who was really into the Real Housewives, the entire franchise. Like every city in the world has its own show of the Real Housewives, pretty much. And I watched all of them because that was my life. And but the interesting thing is, after I woke up and I started learning about all of these particular families, right, that we have our eyes on, and learning all of these connections and things like that, I was blown away when I started looking into some of these women, and it kind of ties into recent current events. So if we have time, I want to go over that and just give you useless information that you never, but it is interesting. And I think it is important for us to look at these things and realize how much this stuff is thrown in our face, and kind of consider why that is, and why they would want to put these particular women from these particular families in our faces and get us familiar with them, or, whatever it is. Beverly Hillbillies. Yeah, that's more my speed these days. It's more the essence of me. The so-called Nikola Tesla expert that Leak Project had on a few months ago said Nikola Tesla was not a spiritual person, when I have no doubt he was super spiritual. Even just reading some of his, I obviously did not know the man, and but just even to look into some of his quotes, and even the way that he looked at science was absolutely from a spiritual perspective. So Oh, Nancy, then this is a show for you. We will love that. Are they Egyptian? Who, the Real Housewives? Not that I know of. I don't think so. I'm trying to think if there's anybody that has connections to like, we're talking about not families that are that old. They're not like the Anunnaki, but they are. If we'd say maybe like, I don't know, 13 of them, you guys know what I'm talking about. I would definitely say he was spiritual. And again, this book was not um, written by Nikola Tesla. I don't really. So Margaret Storm is who wrote it, and basically a lot of her I mean, okay, so if you look at the reviews on Amazon, everybody like hates this book because obviously she says some very outlandish things that like you and I jive with. Like, we're cool. We can listen to these things, and it's not necessarily like we just take it for fact, but we're open-minded to some of these bizarre notions, like, for example, that he was born on a spaceship and brought here. Tesla was otherworldly. Well, that is exactly what the book says. So it does say that he was born on a spaceship and that he was brought here and that he came from the planet Venus originally. And who is to say is basically all I have to say about that. Whatever. It's these are interesting concepts to take in, to read. Sometimes things will sit with you. Like I actually resonated with that. I actually do believe that there are people from other planets who come from, not even just other planets, just people that come from higher vibrations, people that have kind of already figured out some of the stuff that we're still tinkering with. They've already figured it out and they are coming back to help us. So whether that be from another dimension, another galaxy, another planet in our solar system, whatever it is, or even the angelic realm or whatever, that we are getting help right now and that we are seeing some of these people, and they might not necessarily have manifested into these meat suits through reincarnation like a lot of us, or so I believe. So hey Farron, you're out of chocolate. So she talks about that, and obviously we can look back on Tesla's life and see that although the majority of his work we are still not living with today, we still do not have access to a lot of the Tesla technologies, even the way that he looked at science and kind of proved a lot of things that we had accepted as truths as really kind of not. And we're still being taught these things, even though we know that there are technologies out there that, we would never need to use fossil fuels again. We don't need to use rockets to get into outer space. He's known this since, for like 200 years. We've got this information has been, brought to us, but we have rejected it and are not using it. Which also brings up another important point that I think when you start looking into these things and you start looking into spirituality, whatever it is, spirituality, holistic health, science, technology, whatever it is, that it's time we start demanding answers, even just by, being clear in our own minds that we don't consent to being lied to anymore. We don't consent to having somebody else determine what information belongs to us or not, as far as the world we live in, the bodies we live in, and we do have a lot more power than we realize when it comes to even just our minds, and even just unlocking ourselves, our potential as human beings, and our sovereignty. I know that word gets just just like taken out in the street and just like curb stomped and just like ugh. But it's, there's really no other way to put it. This is what we're here to. We have two missions, right? I believe we have two missions when we come here. We have our own personal mission, which is, stepping into our power, another phrase that I freaking hate. And healing the wounds that we have, whether it's even just ancestral wounds that we come here with, or our own karma or things like that, and making the best we's that we can be. But we also have the mission of helping humanity. We're not just here to like do our own thing. We also are in this human existence in order to help each other and to raise everybody up, not just us. And that is something that keeps coming up in all of these books that I'm reading. And I was actually super stoked that it was like the main focus of this book. Keep in mind, this book was published in 1959, which means it was, written maybe a year or two before that. It could have been written yesterday. I mean, it talks about the Great Awakening. I know that's not an entirely new concept, but gosh, it's so relevant, right? This is what we're seeing. We're seeing now the things that she's talking about. And of course, in the book, she's saying, it's coming soon. It's coming soon. Well, we're glad that we weren't sitting there in 1959 reading this being like, oh, just around the corner, which it's felt like for the last 2 years. But we are seeing it. We are seeing it happen before our eyes. Even just put all the politics and stuff aside, we are seeing it in our community. We are seeing it with our friends and neighbors and families, even the ones that are still sleeping. We're seeing this resistance, and we're seeing this polarization that's forcing people into either awakening, or it's like pushing them in the opposite direction. But I loved that these themes and these concepts that I've just been so enthralled with are just popping up in every book, no matter what I read, no matter what I read about, whether it's a discovery in Romania, the life of Nikola Tesla, somebody has a channeled message. And I feel like that is quite compelling, and I like it a lot. Farron says, I know some people are saying Nasara Jasara isn't real, but so many people believe in it and are hoping for it. I believe we will manifest it. I really like that you brought that up and that you put it that way, Farron. Number one, that goes into something else that I kind of wanted to touch on tonight, and or a couple things that I wanted to touch on. One is the manifestation. Obviously, I was already kind of getting into that with, what we can do with our minds as far as bringing forth the change that we want to see. But I also kind of wanted to get into a little bit of, within the community. I know people get very attached to certain people, and it's kind of what we need to be moving away from, because as I said, like, there shouldn't really be any leaders in this. We should all be kind of helping each other lead the way, which is another reason why I like my book club thing, because it's not just like me, it's like all of us, and we all have an equal opportunity to get as much time to talk in as we want to. But when you see some people out there making what I would call damaging mistakes repeatedly, like, please, I have made so many mistakes in the beginning. I have bought into so much embarrassing stuff, especially in the beginning. And every time I did, I'd get called out about it. And then I would get into my feelings, and I'd be like embarrassed. And then I'd be like, well, they don't know. It's fine. Like, I can believe what I want. But then at the same time, I was learning my lesson, realizing that you can actually do damage by getting people invested in particulars that don't end up panning out. A lot of people like to talk about how important hope is. Well, that actually is the antithesis of hope, giving people hope. Because what happens is, when people get their hopes built up for something, and then it doesn't happen, then you lose hope. And eventually it will wear you away. It will actually break people, and it will take away their hope. So that's why there are some people in the community, and I'm not really one of them. If you guys notice, like, I don't ever really go into like who to trust, who not to trust, or who I see messing up or whatever. I kind of just like, man, you guys figure it out. But I will say, because I feel called to recently, because it keeps kind of coming up, that I think that it's not fair for us to look at the people that are pointing these out and calling them divisive, because it's not divisive to point out that because we know that there are going to be infiltrators that will do these kinds of things on purpose. What more perfect than to break this community up by wearing us down and getting and making us lose our hope? So you would expect to see something like that repeatedly from people. Obviously, not everybody's perfect. Nobody is perfect, in fact. And we just, we don't want to get on people too hard if they make one or two mistakes, because it's going to happen. We're all going to do it. We all do that. But if people don't appear to be learning their lesson and somebody else is kind of pointing that out, like, hey, check it out. Check out what this person is doing. They are actually causing damage. They are causing people to lose their hope. Then I think it deserves to be pointed out. So that being said, all have sinned, Chef Matt says. Indeedly doodly. Amanda says, we are our hope. We are our power. We don't need saviors. Waiting for that is damaging. I agree with that. Melissa says, we are all learning and growing every day. Yes, I am very, very proud of the growth that I see all around me and the support of each other. And this is really, really a cool, awesome community. I think that's probably why I cry so much. I was thinking about it. I was like, why the heck do I sit down and cry? I think it's because I can actually feel how much you guys care about me. And that's not an exaggeration. When I sit down and I see some of these, familiar names, and these are people that support me on a regular basis, I do get emotional because I can feel your love, and I hope you feel my love too. But I am a sucker for that. That's for sure. The growth is stunning, Farron says. Hi, Anthony. Yeah, so, well, thank you for bringing that up, Farron, because I probably would have totally forgotten. Love you, Lala. Christina says, fine line to walk, keeping your imagination positively oriented and expansive without getting attached to specific outcomes or people. Oh my gosh, you just said a mouthful. Exactly. It is. It's not easy to do. It's not easy to keep hope while not putting hope into specific things. Just having a general overall sense of that it's going to be okay. But we're also paying attention to the day-to-day things, and it's hard not to get invested in every little detail. Uh-oh. We have a troll apparently, but Alara is on it, so I'm not worried. I'm scared for the troll, actually. It's so funny. I think I've said this before, but I feel like in some way we are all being divinely protected. And the way in which I feel like I am being divinely protected in particular is I think that I am like some kind of benevolent entity out there is hiding all of the trolls from me, because I never see it. I never see any, like rarely ever any negative comments on any of my stuff. And I'm like, that's not possible. And I know that there are trolls, because sometimes people will be like, oh, a troll, but I never see it. So I feel like I'm being guided from it, because my spirit guides know that I am way too concerned about what people think about me. And I would just get derailed. So anywho, Tristan says, buy crypto, people. He apologized. Oh, thanks, Blob. Well, we can all learn and grow. Oh, Elise is here. That's another thing too. Sometimes I'll see people saying hi to somebody, but I don't see the person they're saying hi to. Melissa says, your frequency is too high. You rise above it. Yeah, now a little bit, I think, but I really haven't been tested on it much. Like, who knows? I do try. Have you heard about Matt Gaetz? Seaside is down the road from me. What is there news about Matt Gaetz? Roy says, sorry, Kate, I don't know what's wrong with these people. I don't know. Well, yes, we do know what's wrong with these people, and we all used to be these people. Oh, we can do some cards tonight. Okay, so back to the book. What else? Okay, so it does go into his life. It goes into his inventions. It goes into the way that he was looking into science. Is obviously, his basis was energy, frequency, and vibration. And, basically by these concepts, these are some of the things that you can tap into that we talk about on here, that we see some people unlocking, like telepathy and being able to bend spoons with their mind and stuff like that. These aren't mystical things. These are science. But it's that we don't understand science properly. That is one thing that I wish that the scientific community would just be honest about, and just be like, dude, we don't know. We don't know. But they don't do that. And that's what's unfortunate. You'll see it in the medical world too, pretending to have answers for things that they really don't. And, not that we shouldn't celebrate the advancements that we have, and because they're wonderful, and there are scientists and doctors and things like that, medical researchers that are doing excellent work. But the fact of the matter is, I think the foundations of what we're building on might be wrong, and we certainly aren't putting to use the brilliant work of Nikola Tesla. And I believe it would be life-changing. This is why I think, just personally, now, we know, first of all, this book goes into the fact that he left two different disciples, Otis T. Carr, and I can't remember the name of the other guy, which is good news. One of the stories that we had heard was that he left, just his notebooks in his hotel room, and that was what was left of his legacy. And the government obviously came in and swooped in and took all of those. By the way, the man that did that was John Trump, Donald Trump's uncle. And he was the one that originally got the Nikola Tesla papers, and I believe, and was the one to examine them. Now, I think possibly, if I'm looking back at if that was me and I got Nikola Tesla's papers and I was looking through them and I was smart enough to understand what I was looking at, and I saw that this man had figured out a way to provide free energy to every man, woman, and child on the planet, foregoing the need for world hunger, for anybody to go without shelter, for anyone to go basically without anything they need. And you see the powers that be intentionally keeping that from humanity, and keeping people suffering, keeping children suffering, keeping people around the world without food and water, keeping even the people that have access to these things slaves to their occupation, so that they basically can't even keep up with having to pay for these things that should be given to them for free. These things they're supplied by God. They're in the ether. You just have to tap into them, which apparently is not that hard to do. That would make me angry. That would change my perspective on humanity quite a bit. And I think I would probably be sharing that with my family members. And it is rumored that Donald Trump was close with his Uncle John. And so I would imagine that perhaps he was told about these things. Maybe you would think that's quite a possibility, that he was told about these things when he was a child, and that would give you the fire inside, I guess, to understand what the world is and what it could be and who are the real enemies here. There was the powers that be didn't want these technologies, not only just to keep humanity down and to keep us, under their thumb, I guess, but also to make money. I believe it was J.P. Morgan who owned, I could be totally wrong about this, but I believe he owned the patent on the copper coils or something like that were run through the power lines. And so if you've got free energy that can be tapped into just by sticking an antenna on your house or your place of business, then obviously those ugly power lines that we see everywhere would be unnecessary. And so you wouldn't want, this to come forward. It's really just gross. I hate thinking about people being able to do that to other human beings. Brown-Eyed Girl says, imagine how our minds would be unlocked without the pressure of surviving and paying bills. We would be a galactic community 100 years ago. Exactly. It's not only just about keeping our minds, keeping us busy, keeping us slaves, but because we're like hamsters on a wheel, rest in peace to my hamster, hamsters on a wheel, guess what else it takes us away from? Spirituality, research, looking into all of these things, all of these topics that we talk about how they were trying to keep it from us. I mean, an enslaved humanity is a busy humanity, is a humanity that can't go looking into these things for themselves. They don't have the leisure time to actually do the upkeep and learn about themselves and what their potential is. There is no living up to your potential because you're working for somebody else. And, it's a vicious cycle. Hello, friend. Yes, Suderbug says, I'm with you, Kate. People are sick that can do that to other people. Yeah, I agree. That's mental illness. That's not just greed. Greed is gross enough, but that level of greed is absolute mental illness. Melissa says, that's what's keeping our frequency low, stress and fear. Yep. Radical hamster extermination. Tessa, are you talking smack? Nicholas says, I hate to think about how many lives have been needlessly destroyed in pointless wars that could have all been avoided if this technology was allowed. Exactly. Thank you, Anthony. So one of my favorite parts, if you go backwards on the hamster wheel, we could go back in time. Yoholoho says, battle between good and evil. Absolutely. It is becoming really clear, isn't it? It's becoming very, very clear. So the last chapter in this book goes into something that I have been experimenting with, I guess, myself these days. And I've talked about it a little bit, but that is putting up protection. So the way that I always envision it is I picture kind of a white bubble of light, and I think of it as God's light. I put it around my son, I put it around my house, myself, all of my family members, And this book, written in 1959, goes into that and talks about how that is very real. When we imagine these things, we are manifesting them, whether we see it or not. And as long as you believe in it, you are actually manifesting it. And that these are things that we used to be born with. That's another really interesting thing that it goes into. It talks about kind of the esoteric beginning of our planet and how, obviously this was like the Garden of Eden, and everything was very high vibrational, and there weren't any threats, and there was nothing. It was all harmony. Everything was just harmonious and love and light and beauty and all of that. And then what this book says is that we basically took on these kind of lost souls that were out there accumulating all of this karma. And it was like nobody else wanted them because they were like the sullied. And we were like, yeah, come on, everything's so beautiful here. We'll take them. And so we took them, and they just shit all over everything. And she calls them the Laggards. And these are the people that, mistake after mistake, we all make mistakes, but these are the people whose souls don't have the desire to learn and grow. They are choosing the dark. They are choosing to stay stagnant. They aren't choosing for whatever it is in them that is not, making that decision to work for God, work for light, work for love, whatever you want to call it. And so they just kind of gummed up the whole system for us, and things started to change even with our physical bodies. This goes into one of the, there's another book, I think I'll probably add it to the book club eventually. It's called The Secret History of the World, I believe. And it was written by a guy who claimed to somehow he had access. I don't know if it was like a friend's father or something like that. He had access to basically the Freemason version of world history, and that it was completely different than what we are given in school, et cetera, et cetera. But one of the things that stuck out to me in that book was he talks about how the hold on, Starstream IR initiation into hermetics. Okay. Oh, thank you, Yvonda. Yes, the book is Return of the Dove. Oh, one other thing I want to mention about this book, which is funny, it's literally photocopy, because I think the original of this book only had a few thousand prints. So as you will see, like, it's like the book is huge, but the print is very small, and it like doesn't quite fit on the page because it's literally photocopies from the original. So I will admit the type in here is very difficult. Even with good vision, this is not a very easy book to read. So sorry about that to those of you who bought it, because I didn't realize until, I mean, obviously I hadn't opened it until we started this week. So I did not realize. Anyway, it's worth it. It's worth squinting. I really believe that. Yeah, I don't know why they had to make it this big. Like, there's so much extra, whatever. Maybe they make all their books a standard size and then it's just whatever fits. So the thing that's in The Secret History of the World, one of the things they talk about is how the pineal gland was, more towards our frontal lobe, and that, even our bone, like the density of our bone was more like a wax-like substance than, hard bone, because basically what they're saying is like that the earth had shifted from kind of like a gas-like substance to like a water-like substance, and then it started to get more and more solid, and that the Sphinx were actually built to kind of commemorate when the earth actually solidified. But how did I get here? Where am I? I go on these tangents. I don't even remember why I started talking about this. I know I was talking about the human. Oh, she talks about the laggards. She talks about, the changes in even in our physiology that started to come with taking on this kind of negative energy onto our planet that we were, hoping to help and aid, but really they started pulling us back more than anything. And so, with our pineal gland closer to the front of our brain, and with the matter in front of it not as dense, we did tend to be more telepathic. We were also more affected by sunlight, just like reptiles have, their pineal gland is closer to their skull, and their skulls are thinner. So they, I guess, have more of an effect from the sun. Ours is like teeny tiny and buried in all this like matter. This book also says that our brain matter actually turned color as well, from this like beautiful golden color to gray. And that had very much to do with like almost like the gunk that our planet was taking on from all of this negative energy. And I just found that really interesting. So anyway, she's talking about, in the end of this book, it's a whole chapter on putting up protection and how effective it can be. And even just, the believing that it is so makes it so. Joe's brain looks like a green walnut. Some have a third eye, seeing light and dark through the top of the skull. Yeah, there are a lot of things that they say clean out your pineal gland, help decalcify it, et cetera, et cetera. Certain supplements and stuff like that. We, in the book club last week, ended up talking about Ormus. And when I was taking Ormus, I ran out and I ordered it again, but it hasn't arrived yet. So it's been a while since I've taken it. But when I was taking the Ormus, I was noticing that I would get these flashes of light from my own brain. That sounds very weird, but like my eyes would be closed. When your eyes are closed, you're still sensitive to light. If somebody turned on a flashlight, you could see it through your eyelids. Well, I would see light like that, only it wasn't coming from the front of my eye. It was coming from the back of my eye. And Interesting. So like sparks, and I don't know if like connections were being made or what was going on. Apple cider vinegar, someone is saying. Yeah, there are lots of loose uses for apple cider vinegar. It's good for you in a lot of ways. Wasn't there something you were going to tell us about this week? Yeah, Jason. We might go into that. I protected us from getting busted when growing pot was still illegal and we didn't have the proper equipment to stop the smell, so we should have been busted. Interesting. Keystone says, oh, that sounds like antidepressant withdrawals. I've been through antidepressant withdrawals and I know exactly what you're talking about. The brain zap, not that at all. The brain zaps were very like unpleasant. This was not unpleasant at all. It was actually kind of beautiful. It was like a light show inside my brain. And it would only happen, when it was very dark, when I was going to bed at night is when I would notice it. I didn't notice it like walking around during the day. Or actually, I did notice seeing like a lot of kind of brightly colored, just kind of little twinkles here and there, I guess, while my eyes were open. Nothing major, but I was like, oh, something would catch my eye and it would just be like a little bright light. But I don't know. I think that that's different. Did you have a weird taste of Ormus? Looks like, the one that I got was salty. But other than that, I didn't have a taste. So yes, to answer your question. Yoholoho said, oh my God, I had that flash of light thing too in my mind. It was amazing. And the light from the sun feels amazing now too. Interesting. I got chills, they're multiplying. I see you, Barry. What's the brain zap with antidepressant withdrawal? I really don't even know. But that was how when I got off of antidepressants, what was it, like 2 years ago, I started taking CBD because somebody recommended that to me for the brain zaps in particular. And it completely took them away. And then I started noticing all these other like really great benefits to taking it for me. So I've been on it ever since, CBD. Ormus is monoatomic gold. It actually got mentioned in the last book we read, which was Transylvanian Sunrise, which is about the discovery they made in the Bucegi Mountains in Romania. And there are all these interesting technical things in there. But one of the things that they find in there is a pot of Ormus, which is monoatomic gold. But the structure of it is not, we can't really replicate it because it has something to do. Fearless actually explained it really well. I believe like one of the molecules is actually in a different dimension. So we can't make that. But they make things that are kind of, that also work and they have benefits. But I guess the real stuff, the good stuff, the OG stuff, you can live for like thousands of years if you take it, apparently, which sounds awful to me. Yeah, CBD for back pain. I take CBD for back pain too. It's funny. It's not so much that I noticed what it was doing for me. It was what I noticed when I stopped taking. Then I was like, oh, wow, all of these things are back that I didn't even notice had gone away. And then I would start taking it again, and then I would feel good again. You would, Keystone. Jan says, when I was a kid and we turned off the lights for bed, I saw colored lights similar to lightning bugs, little stars. Oh, that's really cute. Which Ormus do you use, Kate? I use something called Zynergy, and it's, I think, the only Ormus I've ever taken. So I don't really have a comparison. The stuff I take is kind of pricey. So I don't know. I don't know if it's worth it or not. I would like to try a less expensive kind, if there is a less expensive kind, and, see if that's just as good. Talk about those cool crystals you post on Instagram. Well, I did post my crystals on Instagram, and much to the chagrin, apparently, of Buddha Judge Mountains. Oh, gosh. I did get my crystals charged in the moonlight. Yeah, so I guess that brings up another thing that we could talk about is, you know, I am just me. I'm discovering, I'm learning. I am on a spiritual quest, let's say, and I'm not really sure what I am or what I believe, but I'm interested in all kinds of things. I don't have a label. I am just as interested in God and Jesus Christ and the Bible as I am in channeled information from extraterrestrials. So I'm just kind of on this journey, and I love that people are like super supportive and, you know, whatever. You don't have to jive with everything that I'm delving into. And I have a lot of Christian friends that are like, cool. They're like, whatever, they know. They're like, yeah, you do you, boo boo, and we'll just be over here, and it's cool. And I have total respect for that. But every once in a while, I will post something and people have to tell me about how I'm going to hell because it's witchcraft or whatever it is. And I am of the firm belief that, yeah, I know that there are things, tools out there that can be used for in negative ways or invite in negative entities if you are not setting the right intentions and doing it the right way. And so I appreciate that people are concerned about me and don't want to see me slipping into doing something bad. But I am very careful about anything I do. I don't practice witchcraft. I'm actually into crystals less for like, I don't even really use them for healing and things like that, but I am interested in crystals and they're beautiful to me and I'm drawn to them. And I will kind of like put them around me when I meditate, but that's really the extent of it. I also have a big water bottle that has a giant quartz in it that I drink out of just because I feel like it activates, it puts more energy into my water because most of the water we're drinking is dead. And so, you know, things like that, I'm more interested on like a vibrational level than like, you know, drinking Eye of Newt, like, you know, or like whatever. So yeah, basically what I'm saying is, I hope we can all just learn to have a little bit of patience with each other, even if you feel like you've got the answer. And I understand, like, that's actually a really beautiful thing when somebody feels like they know and they want to share it with you. They want to save you from like having to go through mistakes and figuring it out on your own. But we just have to be really careful with, first of all, being honest with ourselves about what we actually know and what we just feel like we know. Because really, if we're honest, none of us really know anything. We have an inner knowing and we can be like, okay, I really feel like this is true. Everything in me says this is true, and that's cool. And you go with that. But you, just like awakening, you can't push anybody else into that feeling. Nobody is going to meet Jesus until they are meant to meet Jesus. Nobody is going to find God unless they are ready to find God. No matter how many times you tell them that they're going to hell, no matter how many times you tell them what they're doing is satanic or whatever. I don't think I've had anybody tell me I'm doing anything satanic, so that's good. But I definitely, you know, like the cards, for example, these aren't tarot cards, they're oracle cards, and it's like opening a fortune cookie. But yeah, I don't know, you know? Exactly, fearless. You know the secret to real magic. Yeah, I just hope we all learn to have a little bit more patience with each other through these things because we're all getting there. And really, in the fundamental sense of everything, we are closer than we think we are, than it seems. And when we start putting labels on things, that's when we feel very divided or like, you know, but really, anytime I've sat down with a person that's X, Y, or Z and we talk about our beliefs, we're actually more in line than not. So, I hope that, yeah. And this is also a lesson I've had to learn myself. So it's not like I don't get it. I do get it. And I know it comes from a place of love. And I know it comes from, you know, good things. Oh, you live in a mountain town that has spring gravity water. What is gravity water? It tastes fabulous. No chlorine or fluoride. Oh, I wish I did. Paula says, it's like the people who don't want to be awakened. You just have to let them be asleep because you can't force them. You can show them, and it will be up to them to actually wake up. Exactly. It's like Kaylee McEnany said, I can only explain it to you. I can't understand it for you. Nobody is going to, you can explain these things to me all you want, but you can't understand it for me. I have to get there on my own. It's my own process. I'm learning, I'm growing, and I'm finding out a lot of really cool things. And by the way, I'm finding out that it all ties in together and is all basically the same thing. So don't be a hater. Man, energy vampires have come up a lot today, I must say. Oh, a very deep mountain spring that is constantly running. Interesting. Ouch. Suiterbug says, it's simple, really. Be true and authentic 100% of the time. No lying, no stealing, etc. Only by doing what you know is right. Somebody said to me the other day in my chat something about, if we didn't have the Bible, how would we know not to kill people or to steal or to lie or to cheat or da-da-da-da? I'm like, don't we have that inside? Like, I literally never read the Bible. I know it's in there, but I don't need those things to know what's right and wrong. Don't we all feel it? We all feel what's right and wrong. That's what I'm saying. God is in us. God gives us an inner knowing. We don't have to read it in a book, I don't think, to know what is right. You feel it. You feel when you're doing the wrong thing. And, sometimes you do it anyway, but we all feel it. It's instinctual. Exactly, Bovine Joni. Beautifully said, my friend. Yes, you did spell it right. I think. You're asking me. My spell check looks at me like, you're on your own all the time. I have no idea what you're trying to say. We have an internal compass of what is right and wrong. Exactly. Only self-evident if you're not a soulless narcissist. I am learning a lot about narcissism, you guys, and I do want to talk about it more, but I want to be more prepared. But I am finding out some not amazing, like terrible things, but very interesting, very eye-opening. And like I said last time, I do think that it's important for us to talk about in this community because we will be targets for it. And I don't just mean the people that are creating content. I mean, you guys, all of us, the people watching the content, anybody that is being awakened, anybody that is spreading truth, anybody that is working on themselves, on their spiritual path, on their enlightenment path, spreading the message of God, whatever it is, you will be targeted by narcissists because they are attracted to you. They will feed off of you. And this was never a topic that I ever was interested in because I didn't even really know what it was. And I'm finding out so much about it. And in my opinion, it's almost like the soul gets broken and then they have, their consciousness kind of takes off. And so they kind of become an empty vessel for anything to kind of get in and take over. And what comes in and takes over does not have feeling. It does not care about you. It doesn't even care about its vessel. And we, as human beings, can find compassion for just about anything and anyone, right? And I know I can. And not only is compassion wasted on a narcissist, but it's actual fuel for them because they see the world as eat or be eaten. The don't mistake my kindness for weakness. That comes from the perspective of a narcissist. They don't even see your kindness. They're never going to be like, oh, well, this person extended the olive branch to me. So that was really good of them. Maybe I'll be kinder. They're going to be like, no, I'm going to pounce more because you are my prey now. Now I see what makes you tick. Now I see this soft spot in you. And that's exactly what I'm going to go for. So yeah. That's, ooh, I like that. Where'd it go? Chris Maitina says, that's where your protection comes in. Put up that wall of protection. Absolutely. But keep in mind that these aren't people that are going to come disguised as your enemies. These are people that are going to come disguised as your friend, your spouse, your family member, your boss, your coworker, anybody close. And actually, they're very good at attaching to you and getting you to trust them and getting you to spill all your secrets to them so that they have that's how that they try to figure you out, because to them the thrill is in the hunt. And so they want to find what makes you tick so that they can use it against you eventually. It's like this whole weird thing. That's like what I'm saying. It was this weird world that I didn't even realize existed. Then once you kind of look into it, then you see it almost like they live, and putting the glasses on, it's like, oh my gosh, like, it's all around me. So I do think we need to be more careful. And that's why I do feel called to talk about it. Not that I want people looking at everybody in the community being like, oh, is this who she means? Is that who she means? No, it doesn't matter. You just need to look for it in your own life and learn how to find it. Also learn, one of the most important things for me was also learning about codependency, which is those are the people that they prey on pretty much. And so there are things that you need to heal in yourself. If you keep attracting these people into your world, into your life, then there might be something that you can do, that you can work on internally, that will protect you. Put on the full armor of God. It will repel or transform an attacking narcissist. Narcissistic people do not have the ability to love. That's very true and very sad and very foreign to those of us that are empathetic and compassionate and caring and full of love. We ooze love. It's so gross. Oozes. We just it just comes out of us. So we don't understand. It's like no comprendo. It just doesn't compute when somebody is just completely cut off from that. It's very sad. And so then again, it's hard not to get sucked into feeling sorry for these people, because that's where my mind tends to go, is oh, who hurt you? What happened to you? And that feels very bad, because we know things do happen to people and it breaks them and etc. But there's no excuse for hurting other people. Hey, Joker John Roberts. Never feed the narcissist. Ignore their attempts. As that's where my mind tends to go, is hello. Oh, who hurt you? What happened to you? Sorry, guys. Un momento. And there we go. Okay. Awesome. Awesome. It takes education to spot and deflect narcs, May says. That is what I'm learning as well. Ties in. Brooklyn Way says, Dr. Ramani is an incredible narcissistic abuse therapist, and her channel is amazing. I think somebody sent me a couple of her videos today, but I haven't watched them yet. I'm a ventriloquist. May Marvel says, sometimes you just need to be bland with them. No tone. Yeah. Isn't that called gray stone or something? Gray rock or whatever it is. That's a psychological term for the way that, therapists interact with these people. You have to give them nothing. If you give them any emotion whatsoever, they will twist it and turn it and feed off of it, and, it becomes an unhealthy pattern. So you just have to be you have to be like a gray stone. You have to give them no emotion. Ooze is a correct description. They will force you into thinking you can't exist without them. Carl says, have you created a bridge between Tesla's 369 vortex math and the frequencies that we interact with daily? No, I want to look more into that. I mean, I have friends that are kind of talking to me about it and educating me on it a little bit, but I am very fascinated, and that is definitely a topic I'm going to be looking into more. Somebody said something. Oh, and they constantly gaslight. Gaslighting was also something that it was like a term I've heard a million times before, but I really never knew what it was. And to me, tell me if I'm right or wrong. And in my experience, this was gaslighting. When I looked into gaslighting, what gaslighting was, I was like, that was the thing that I was like, oh my gosh, this is exactly what's happening. Somebody that is gaslighting you, like you will literally have an experience with them and they will just be like, nope, that didn't happen. And you're like, are you like your car keys? Like, can you give me my car keys? They're sitting right in front of you. No, they're not. They are. I'm looking right at them. Can you just hand me my car keys? No, I don't see your car keys. They're not here anywhere. You left them in the car. No. It's like they just, that's like incredibly, it does something to you, man. Let me tell you. Gaslighting is when they make you question your reality. Oh, I've never heard that story. That's interesting. The gaslight, where that came from. I'm going to look into that. Oh yeah, we do see a lot of gaslighting, don't we, with our government and like the social justice warriors and stuff like that are like, we know what they say. We know what they say and do. We are all experiencing gaslighting right now. So here is something. Here's something. How do we, these are just open-ended questions. These are things that I want to get people thinking about because I really do have these questions. How do we fight evil, darkness, like these things that we're talking about, narcissism, like things where they seemingly have the upper hand because they will fight dirty and they will do all of these gross things? How do you fight that with benevolence? How do you fight that with love? I mean, you can't kill evil, it will just remanifest somewhere else. You have to transmute it. Well, how do we do that? What does that look like? And I'm not just talking about in our personal relationships. I'm talking about in the world right now. When we look at the state of things and we're like, okay, well, I guess it really is up to us. What does that look like? What do we do now? I mean, we're doing it, right? We're doing everything that we can as far as trying to help people wake up. And, but yeah, I just don't know. I'm at a loss. That's another, I guess, reoccurring topic that's been coming up for me. Darkness can't remain in the light. All we have to do is share the light. I like that. James from ECETI will have some very good information there. Tyler says, just be a beacon of light that's not directed at anyone but yourself. I mean, these are all good. These are all very good points. But what will get it to me immediately? How do I get it tomorrow? How do I get it yesterday? No, I get it. I think we are seeing, I think it's moving faster than I like to complain about how slow everything is going, but we are seeing great strides being made. And I don't know when we'll get there, guys, but we just keep on going, I guess. You remote view that person who is evil and send them love. That brings up an interesting question I have as well, as far as remote viewing and people that can remote view. What is ethical there? Do we start just going in and looking at whoever we want to see? Is that a violation? Do we start using that information against people if we go in and we say we see things like, oh, I saw things, I saw it, and you have to believe me because I remote viewed it? These are conversations I believe we need to be having in this community. Yeah, I would not go remote viewing anybody, especially somebody that was like a narcissist or evil or anything like that, because you are attaching yourself to them and you are creating a cord there. And I would just put up protection from them. I had somebody teach me about like cutting cords and then watching them kind of go into the light and kind of thinking of it as like God's light, where they were like going to heal. Like, you go heal over there, far, far away. And I liked that. There are ethics around remote viewing. Well, that's good to know. Remote viewing, invasion of privacy, and creates an energetic cord. Yeah, it feels kind of gross, to be honest. Yeah. I will say that I've had people admit to me that they were remote viewing me, and I didn't like it. And I don't think it was right. And these are people that I respected. So, in their mind, it was, a benevolent cause or whatever. Even though it didn't end up that way. But yeah, it just feels weird. It feels weird. And it also feels weird to start, using these things as, like somebody put it, like these are like teenagers that you gave a spell book to. Like, where's the adult in the room? Most people just get impressions of things and places, but they tend to be out of context. Metal plated face job says, yeah, that's what I was kind of learning, from Princess Janae was a remote viewer that was at the conference that I was just at. And, they were having us kind of experiment with it or whatever. And there were a few, remote viewers, and I've heard several remote viewers talk, and that kind of is it. You just kind of get impressions of things, but you like to have like 3 or more people. So you're kind of triangulating it so that, like if multiple people are picking up on the same impression, that it's more likely that it is so. I don't think that most people that can remote view aren't like, it's not like they're looking into a crystal ball and they can like suddenly see you and you're, sitting on the toilet. It's like, they're just more getting impressions of things, but still, I think we have to be careful there. You could put a do not disturb energetic sign up. Kidding, but not kidding. No, I literally did have to put protection around my house because I was like, I don't want you people looking in at me. Like, can I have no privacy whatsoever? So not that I have anything to hide. Obviously I don't, but who wants to be watched in their own home? By the way, you can call me. Call me up. Ask me whatever you want to know, and I'll just tell you. It's weird. Remote viewing without permission is like breaking into somebody's home. Yeah, it's like going through somebody's phone, Like, I have nothing to hide on my phone, but I also don't want you picking up my phone and just like looking through my pictures and like seeing some weird picture I took of my foot because I wanted to show my sister whatever. Like, it's just weird. We are supposed to have, we're supposed to be able to have privacy. This is another topic that was coming up with like telepathy and things like that, or people that were claiming to be telepathic. And, that down the line, we're going to have to start putting protections on our own thoughts and things like that, because even the way that I had it described to me in one of the books I read, I think, was that even the people that are telepathic and empathetic in a real sense, like that there are, different races of beings that are out there in the cosmos that can, read each other's thoughts and things like that. It's not that they don't have any private thoughts. It's like, you can tune in and tune out when you want to, or you can project it, I guess, and not project it whenever you want to. So you can have private thoughts. You're still a private person, but you are just connected. Remote viewing is when it was like somebody just explained, like you're sitting and you're focusing and you're meditating on something. I think that's how they do it, or they might have different methods. I don't know. But basically what it is you're seeing into wherever, whenever you want to see, you're able to like pick it up in your mind's eye or whatever it is. I probably completely botched that, but don't ask me. I don't know. Oh, Cassandra, I only discovered I was remote viewing by accident. I started describing the person's environment and named everything in their vision board. Oh, that's really interesting. Yeah, you know, I've been able to pick up, like I said, voices and things like that, but I'm not intentionally tuning in. I'm not like using it to like spy on people. I have no control over it. It just happens when it happens. But you know, let's say I got more capable and I could start to direct it and I could start to use it to reach out to people and I wouldn't be messing with people. I probably would. I'd probably mess with people just a little bit, just my friends, just to be funny. But I wouldn't use it to like spy on people or anything like that. I kind of feel like if you have abilities like that and you use them in nefarious ways, then you probably don't deserve to have abilities like that. And I think that people that intentionally seek these abilities, I don't like that either. I think that they should just come to you naturally if they're supposed to be there. Like right now we're just irresponsible. We're just irresponsible as beings, and I can almost see why we're not just like handed these things at birth. We have a lot of healing to do before we are ready for these things, right? All right, guys. Well, we kind of ran out of time. I know you guys are devastated that we didn't get to the Real Housewives. Oh, okay, I'll just tell you really quickly. No, no, no. We'll save it for next time. It is. It's more interesting than it sounds. I think. I think it's fascinating. All right. Well, tomorrow is our book club meeting at 10 a.m. in the morning on my Telegram chat, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. And so we'll be discussing Return of the Dove more tomorrow. Our next month book is Transylvanian Moonrise, which is the sequel to the Transylvanian Sunrise, which we read last month. And if you didn't read that one, I suggest you start there, obviously, and then read the next one. You've got a whole month to finish this, so you can read both books. Oh, this is funny. I was going through my dad's book. I actually got a lot of all the books that my dad was reading like 30 years ago. I'm like into now, but I thought this one was funny, An Introduction to Logic. I just thought that was cute. Yeah, so actually I'm getting some gems out of my dad's old collection of books. So we'll incorporate those into the book club. So yeah, next month's book is Transylvanian Moonrise. And so if you want to prepare for that, we will have all of April to read that, but we will still be doing our discussions every Wednesday morning or / afternoon. And we'll just kind of like take our time with it and it'll be cool like that. So yeah, you guys, I love you. And I hope you have a wonderful week or a wonderful night if I'm seeing you tomorrow. And well, I hope you still have a wonderful week. And oh, thank you for that, Tessa. Thank you to my moderators. Thank you to Fearless and Yvonda for helping me out before the stream got started. And I'll see you guys next time. Toodaloo.